Welcome to Crossover the Pond, brought to you by 21 Media Productions and Sports Social. He's Drew Lasker, I'm Josh Sexton, and this is another episode as we continue our NBA Finals journey, a short hezzy tween and stutter step away here in the UK. You may hear it in the voice. I'm operating on only 2.5 hours sleep because Game 4 wrapped at 4:30 in the morning UK time. I had to rush down to the Amphi Rap studio, which is the people who used to be my full-time employers. I still do a bit of work for them now, so I'm here live from the Amphi Rap studios hosting this. Drew's at home. We've come to do this emergency podcast because we were going to react to the game anyway, but it feels like it's even more pertinent now to do it as quickly as possible because, Drew, we just got an all-timer comeback, an all-timer NBA Finals game. Just absolutely crazy. The latest arc in this narrative of this season in general, but especially in this NBA Finals matchup.
Yeah, these are raw remote emotions. Um, I actually fell asleep and I woke up and it was 10 minutes in the first quarter. And I was like, whoa, San Antonio was up 20 plus then. I just watched it. And then I was like, I'm going to watch it until let me get to the second half, early in the third. Let me just see what happens. And then let me go to sleep. So I had one eye open, one eye closed. And I kept telling myself, just one more possession, one more possession. And then I got PTSD from the Cleveland game that I watched live as well. And I just started to see little things that I was like, nah, I can't go to sleep just yet. This thing isn't finished. And man, what a crazy, crazy game. I couldn't even go to sleep straight after. I ultimately ended up getting an hour of sleep before going on a school run. But if I could describe my emotions right now, and I don't know about you, I'd be interested to hear how you feel. I'm pissed off. I'm not even a Spurs fan. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm neutral in this series, which actually, for the first time in a long time, I will be happy if either team won because I have a lot of respect for both teams. And although on here I officially picked the Spurs in seven, I'm pissed. I feel robbed. Like it's very, very strange feeling. How do you feel?
Kind of the same. Like it's a real conflict of emotions. Like I'm still sort of basking or finding a way to bask in like how just incredible this game was. And as I said at the top of the show there, like the latest sort of fold in this narrative of what has been an incredible season really, but especially an incredible NBA Finals matchup. Like all those things can be true, and also like. Similar to you, I feel like I'm robbed because I wanted more games of this. And listen, we may yet get more games of this. I suspect we probably won't get more than two now. My original Knicks in 6 prediction is probably just about what I'm sticking with. But if you told me that the Knicks just go and win Game 5 now because the Spurs are still sort of licking their wounds of losing this one, I wouldn't be entirely surprised. But it was such a strange game of basketball really, because honestly if you'd have said to me at halftime like this is going to be a blowout, you could just go to bed now, there was every chance I was going to really, like I was literally already weighing up in my head like, right, this is not going to be a 4:30 finish, this could be like a even a pre 4 a.m. as if the fourth quarter is just going to be a complete write-off. So I was sort of eyeing that up really. The Knicks came out very like strange in this game. I thought really like we'd had Mike Brown complaining about the referees, sort of in the aftermath of the last game, especially with that Wemby shove on Brunson. It felt like the Knicks had sort of like overcorrected for that to an extent, really, where they actually got way more of the calls from the refs through the first quarter or so of this, but they were being like uber physical, and Cat goes out with 2 fouls straight away. They bring Hook Porty in and he's uber physical with Wembanyama. Alvarado was like chirping at Wembanyama and trying to like throw him around and stuff, and it was such a strange approach to the game, and it felt like the Spurs and Wembanyama were just kind of like plowing through that. And then suddenly, I don't know, like New York, you've mentioned it before on the podcast, Drew, like New York has this knack of just like finding a way to stick with it and to chip away. And like from the moment it went from 30 points to 20 points, I was like, oh, the Spurs might actually be in trouble here, because everything the Spurs had been doing well previously, which was just kind of playing their game through like whatever bullshit the Knicks were trying to throw at them really, suddenly that sort of mask started to slip a little bit, and you definitely start to see like moments of just like mental lapses, and the Knicks just ultimately like pulled for home from there. And like, you know, again, the man who always seems to stand up in these moments is Jalen Brunson. But I want to shout out OG Anunoby as well, because he's had an incredible finals so far, and another incredible game with some huge highlight plays in this
By
one.
the way, if by the way, I tweeted this last night. He's the Finals MVP in my opinion.
Really, yeah.
He's been the most consistent every game. You look at game three. You look at tonight. Like he just has made timely bucket after bucket after bucket, and he's my MVP right now.
Yeah, and you know, he's been the one who's brought crucial plays. And in this sort of swing game, you'd say game four is never usually a swing game. It's usually game five is the really crucial one. But such is the way this one went, Drew. I can't help but feeling like last night may just be crucial to this series now. And maybe that doesn't sort of help the feeling of us feeling robbed by this one.
Yeah, I feel that the story isn't completely written. Like this has been just a crazy series. Think about how easily the Spurs could be up 3-1. You know, you reflect on this series. Game one, they blew a 14-point lead. Game two, blew a 12-point lead. Game four, they blew a 29-point lead. And just like you, like when I woke up and I was watching the game, I was like, wow, like New York is extra aggressive. It was almost like they knew they got punked in game three, and they just were a little bit too aggressive to prove that, hey, we're the tougher team.
Yeah.
Shout out for San Antonio for like really staying poised. And this is, and I've said this before, is that this is the ugly side of the new era of basketball that we see, which is the 3 point. That's why they say you live and you die by the three. And this is very common when you are making so many shots. It is easy just to settle because you think it's never going to end. But you have the law of averages. That's why Jay-Z say men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. You will always come back to earth when it comes to the threes. And in that third quarter, San Antonio just settled time and time again. 8 straight possessions of threes, and it deserted them. They went cold. And when they had that 3-on-1 fast break and Vassell kind of scooted off to the corner three and Fox kicked it to him and they missed it. And I was like, what are we doing? I mean, how many times watching this game did you go to yourself, what are you doing? I must have done that like 10 times
Yeah.
watching the Spurs down the stretch when you talk about shot selection offensively. I hate when teams do that. They get, and I mentioned this again, when teams get a big lead, they start to slow things down because naturally, obviously, the clock is your friend. But I'm always about you need to continue to play with pace because it's easy for the defense to load up on you when you have one guy just dribbling the ball to 8 seconds on the shot clock and then just taking a bad shot. So I was disappointed with their offense, but then more importantly, their defense just confused me. Like, and again, I've said this on a previous episode in doubling Brunson. I'm only doubling Brunson if I'm playing from behind. I'm not doubling Brunson if I'm up because threes are the only thing that can get a team back in the game. Brunson twos, as hurtful, as prolific as they don't hurt you. They don't kill you. You can match that back and forth. But doubling him, getting the ball out of his hands, open up threes for OG Anunoby, who seemed to never miss. Even Alvarado got in on the party. So I'm not a fan of doubling him when you have the lead. So offensively and defensively, this was a straight up debacle by the Spurs.
Yeah, and also doubling him when they've, you know, got guys who've proven they can stay in front of him over the course of this final series. It just didn't feel like at any moment you needed to double Jalen Brunson. I don't know. There's a part of me that's trying like to not sort of go to like macro on what this means for the Spurs in the future. The last couple of plays by De'Aaron Fox just left me scratching my head so much, man. Like
Mind-boggling.
he gets the knock ahead ball. Just run the clock out at that point. Like you're gonna get fouled. You're gonna go to the free throw line. He's a good free throw shooter as well. I have no idea why he thought he could finish that ball when OG Anunoby's closing him down. It's a real like panic, lack of game awareness, and I kind of feel like they're still patching up for some of Darren Fox's weaknesses on defense as well. And like again, I'm trying hard not to just make this like a slander session of Darren Fox, but I feel like part of the doubling of Brunson was because, Stephon Castle can stay ahead of Brunson. He's defended Brunson so well this playoffs. Dylan Harper is an incredible Brunson defender, and there was an interesting point made on, I think it was maybe the Zach Lowe show the other day, that it seems like when lefties guard lefties, like it's almost like the antidote to everything because they know all the moves. And, Dylan Harper being a lefty, it seems like he is able to just, completely nullify Jalen Brunson, really. So you've got two Brunson stoppers there who can go one-on-one with Brunson. Even like Champagny and Vassell, when they've been, the defenders on Brunson, when Brunson has tried to switch on to Champagny at times this series.
I can see why the Spurs probably reacted to Brunson, because Brunson had, I mean, it felt like he was scoring every single time, but you had a big lead with him scoring every single
Exactly.
time. So
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would feel the need to double him. But before we dissect that last play of Fox, let's just talk about let's play ping pong and go back and forth and talk about the plays that Fox made down the stretch that were just like, I'll start with the one the pocket pass to Wemby that was just, he came off a ball screen. Wemby pop. Yeah, Wemby probably could have moved into space, but he threw that one away. They turned the ball over. What about the one that he kicked off his foot trying to get down to his left? I mean, we can just talk play after play. What about the one where he crosses half court? No one guarded him, and he just kicks the ball across court to Wemby and Castle or Harper, who wasn't paying attention, and he throws that one out of bounds. I mean, there was so many head scratching plays before the play that you just alluded to.
Yeah, and again, like I've said it over and over again during this finals, and I don't want it to seem like I'm just sort of dogging on Darren Fox, because I do think he has his merits. I don't know how great a fit he is in this Spurs team, really. I think he kind of showed that he doesn't really have that veteran leadership, and he's shown it time and time again, despite being the veteran on it, like within this rotation. I'm pretty sure he'd be the oldest guy in this rotation. I don't know if Keldon Johnson is maybe running him close, but like, besides that, maybe Luke Cornett as well. Like Darren Fox is the max contract guy. He's the guy who's, in the peak of his career. Really, is the one who should be able to, in these moments, show poise and not panic. He's a former clutch player of the year. He even hit that clutch bucket in the last game, and he was hitting so much in that first half of this game. Like you mentioned about the law of averages, him and Dylan Harper, and I think Devin Vassell was like 100% from three, 4 or 4 from three. They all had like incredible shooting first halves, but that's going to come crashing back down to earth. And for me, like especially in the NBA finals, that's when like, mentality shows up. It's those moments where like if it's not necessarily going for you, well, how do you stay grounded and how do you find a way to continually get to your spots or to make the right plays in the right moments? And I just feel like over and over again in this finals. And listen, like Wemby has done it as well, but like it would be very, very churlish of me to sit here on this podcast and be like, maybe Wemby doesn't fit the Spurs, because the Spurs fit around Wembanyama. They don't fit around De'Aaron Fox, and I just don't know how good De'Aaron Fox's fit is on this team, and I feel like it's exposed them again in this game.
Well, I fought you last episode in the reason why you keep him in the starting lineup and you keep Harper on the bench. While I still feel that way, but the only reason why you can justify keeping him on the roster moving forward, because I believe after tonight the nail is in the coffin. There's no way
Mm.
that you could justify keeping him there in spite of Harper. I mean, Harper was a plus 12, Fox was a plus 2. That just tells you that, even though we've talked about it numerous times on here, that plus minus, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But, the reason why he was brought here is because San Antonio is such a young team. So he's supposed to be the steady head, the veteran. So there's two things that I want to see from Fox that justifies him being a max player or even being the starter point guard for this team, is that, you know, vocally we see him consistently communicating to guys, grabbing Wimby by the shirt, talking to him, making sure that he's constantly huddling up with the young guards to coach them up. Can't really say that we've seen that this playoff series, right? Or the second part is we need to see him deliver the goods when things get tight, which we saw in Game 3. But that's only one example of the whole playoffs. He
Yeah.
hasn't really consistently done that. If he's not providing that, we cannot continue to keep Harper in handcuffs. And I believe that after this season, he'll be shipped out of there. And that's hard for me to say because I just posted him on my Instagram story yesterday. I was fortunate enough to be invited to one of his charity events a couple of years ago. And so, it hurts me to say this, but he has been awful all playoffs. It's not just been the finals. It has just not been, after the ankle. He just consistently has not been able to make shots. Like anytime there's an opportunity for him to stop the run or start the run or hit a timely shot, he just continues to miss. I saw a debate online yesterday that I had to chirp into because it was Paul Pierce and KG. They were debating Fox, and KG was saying that the defense was tailored to stopping Fox, and that's why he was struggling. And Paul Pierce was like, "No, it's not." And I agree with him. I haven't seen the defense go out their way to make sure they keep Fox quiet. Every time I look, Fox has a great look, and he's just and like Paul Pierce hit the nail on the head. And I had to quote the tweet. He said that he is just not making shots. And that's the case. Time and time again, he has been so inconsistent this playoffs.
Yeah, and again, like we're not necessarily dogging on him as a player, definitely not as a person either. By the way, like it's not a
Yeah,
personal
definitely
thing.
not personal.
Drew,
Yeah, all
if
basketball.
if there are invitations to future charity events, Drew will graciously accept
Yeah,
those,
nothing
of
personal.
course.
Nothing personal
If
for
you are
sure.
listening, Swiper, um, it's I just think it's basketball fit with this team. And again, I really like the point you made about Dylan Harper in handcuffs because you're effectively limiting a guy who's clearly got like a great all round game to just being like a bench spark plug. And actually, I wonder if De'Aaron Fox would have been better served being the bench spark plug because he's got that speed. He doesn't necessarily have the shot making to be that. I think that's what the Spurs should go and look to do now. Someone who fits the timeline and who can be that spark plug off the bench. But I want to give a shout out to the New York Knicks and to Mike Brown, head coach, as well, Drew, because for all the sort of, you can argue about the inexperience and maybe you can do some of that on Mitch Johnson's part as well. I think Mike Brown has coached a hell of a playoffs. And I don't believe that coming into this when the Knicks were being overly physical, that was like a Mike Brown instructed thing. I imagine that was kind of the players and their pride almost being like, we're going to go out there and like punch Wemby back in the mouth for what he did to Jalen Brunson. We're almost going to make the league make decisions. And I think when they saw that wasn't working, when Wemby's there on the floor and sort of like pointing at his head and like saying that, I'm in your head. So I think it was Mitchell Robinson. I think they were realizing that like even in trying to punch him back, they were still getting punked by him, and they found a way to basically like reverse that punking. And I wonder if it was because they've almost gotten at halftime, and Mike Brown's been like, right, I can see that like your pride is getting in the way of this here. Like, don't let your pride be the reason that you like die on your sword in this game. You've got a home crowd that's like dying to get behind you, that's dying to raise you in any moment, and go back out there. And I just think if we're talking about lack of experience and poise, or lack of poise on the Spurs side, the Knicks showed so much experience and so much poise in that second half, having not showed it in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks, man, it feels like this is just the fairy tale story that's meant
Yeah,
to be. When you look at the entire playoff series and when you even reflect back to last year, you know, NBA history doesn't lie. You must go through the rough times to win a championship. There's no steps to be skipped. Every champion has gone through it. And it's just San Antonio's turn to go through this. Uh, New York went through theirs last year with the Halliburton bounce shot, which was heartbreaking for New York, who looked like they were on the way to an NBA Finals then. But they've picked themselves up, they've learned, and you talk about Mike Brown. They could have think about how many times he could have pulled the plug in this game and just pulled his guys. But this is why you can't overreact to the national media pundits because I didn't see Brunson do anything differently than he did in game three. The difference is he made shots. He was ultra aggressive when they were down a lot. Now all of a sudden he's painted as a hero, whereas game three he was painted as a villain, or even to Stephen A. Smith of trying to play for the MVP award. Like he has just played the same way he's always played. Like he put the team on his back. He kept them afloat by just scoring bucket after bucket after bucket. And the New York Knicks, man, they are exactly the epitome of that city, man. Rough, tough, and hard nosed, hard working, like just blue collar, even though, it's the glitz and glam of Manhattan. But we know New York is the the core is Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. That part of New York is its identity. And you can see this New York team like just they are a reflection of that, man. This team is just no quit, man.
It does feel like New York's time is now. We'll be back after Game 5 to react to that as well. We could be talking about the New York Knicks being NBA champions. I do think that will come at some point. Drew, what are you predicting for Game 5? Are you having San Antonio to take this one, or are you having New York to see it out?
It's easy to say that this demoralizing loss kind of puts San Antonio in their grave, like we saw with Cleveland. But again, like if you're the Spurs, you've been up 5 times by double figures to this team. You clearly have the confidence that you're better. You're just not experienced enough to close it. So you have to lean on that, and I think they will coming back to San Antonio. I just think this team is talented enough, and I think they have enough. They're young enough where uh, they're dumb enough to know that this thing isn't over. Whereas veterans, you think you're 3-1 down, you lose this game like Cleveland, it's over. You lose Game 4 by 100 points. I don't see that happening. I really see San Antonio bouncing back, getting this thing to New York and New York ultimately living up to your predictions. But I think they make this thing interesting, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to see Mitch Johnson move De'Aaron Fox to the bench and at least sort of try and,
That's not happening.
almost die on their sword. Now, like, I just think going out sad would be, the saddest thing really for the San Antonio Spurs team. I could genuinely see a world where if they brought Dylan Harper into the starting five, and maybe this is, overstating it to say that they go and win 2 and at least force a Game 7 out of this thing. I still ultimately see New York taking it, but I'll be interested to see if there are any big adjustments coming for the San Antonio Spurs. I
But
do agree with you, Drew. I don't think it's going to happen.
but my debate on you for that pull is why it hasn't been about the starts. It's been about the finishing. So Harper's starting doesn't change the fact that you're going to get a big lead. The difference in this series is can you close? What are the lineups you need to close? And maybe
Mhm.
that's something they need to look at. Maybe it is moving Fox to the bench, or maybe it is going with the 3 guard lineup. But I don't think it's anything to do with the starting lineup that's going to change anything in the series.
No, that's fair. They've generally been closing with the 3 guard lineups as well, and it's Champagne who's the one who's kind of going out because they're seeing him as the worst defender. But I don't know. I think he's defended at a higher level than De'Aaron Fox has for me this series. But anyway, we will be back to do that Game 5 reaction. Another quick hitter from us over here on Crossover the Pond. Drew has got to run, but before he does that, I am going to ask him to lead us out.
As upset and pissed off I am about the way this game unfolded, professionally, it's setting up to be one of the biggest opportunities in my small 5-year career in broadcasting because I am the lead guy for Game 5
Let's
alongside
go.
Mo Mootsie, who's the best NBA analyst we have here in Europe. So I could not only be calling Game 5, but I could be calling the New York Knicks championship since 1973. So very exciting. So I'm gonna make sure these next 2 days that I get in my bag, I get my sleep, I get my rest, and be ready to knock it out the park.
Love it, Drew.
Well, until then, guys, we'll catch you guys after what is it, Game 5 after San
Yeah.
Antonio. Until then, make sure you like and subscribe. Catch you guys next time.